Meeting for the January, if you call roll, please.
Mr. Dion?
Here.
Laura Tarlow?
Here.
Ralph Pascal?
Here.
Ed Dunwire here. Jeff Moore?
Here.
Dan DeCiro?
Here.
Joe Paradise? Absent.
He's coming.
Oh, he's coming? Okay.
Is that, did he get to you? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. With a quorum present, we'll move on to our agenda items. Our first is our reorganizational meeting. This is the joyous task each year of either keeping people or adding people into the different committees. I would suggest, since Joe is somewhere lost in traffic, we get him on every committee before he can respond. Second. I think I have it in front of me.
Should be in your attachments.
I did see the
January.
Schedule.
It's just the schedule, the resolution.
Correct, thank you. So, confirmation of our regular agency meetings, the third Tuesday of the month, is that still acceptable? The executive staying at the first Thursday of the month at 4:30? So
Yes.
works for everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Appointment to staff to the agency. Reappoint executive director. Objections? CFO is, no, we don't have a.
Yes, you do.
We got.
If we could just mute while business, we'll add you guys at the end.
We okay?
Yeah.
Do we have a CFO?
Yeah, okay. CFO is Michael Jerosher. And at this point, we do have an opening on the project manager with Joe Graves resigning from the city and from that position. So right now, I think we probably want to keep the project manager position open, not off the book, and not filling it, but not removing it. Is that a fair? Okay. Any objections to Peter Frangi staying on as executive director and Michael Jerosher as CFO?
No.
So be it. Appointment of a contracting officer, that's new wordage.
So that's a procurement, and it's required by, now that we have an executive director.
Congratulations.
Which we never had.
Oh, we're gonna fill you right in.
Yes.
Appointment of the accounting firm of the agency, and that is Ken Claflin Associates. Who?
Cusack. Is he with Cusack?
Yes. Any objection? Okay.
No.
I guess I can just do this all at the end if there's. Appointment to the bond council, and that would be Mr. Scott and Hoskins Ross.
Skip the agency council.
Appointment of agency council. That would
On
be,
purpose? No.
I already signed the retainer, she has it. What's that? Wait, I didn't hear the one-liner.
Yes, we had a choice.
Oh,
Didn't hear that? So I'll speak up.
well, for those new to this process, today is the day to bring in the new choices. If you'd like to do replacements, here we go. Appointment of the executive board. Myself, Laura Tarlow, Ed Dunwire staying as secretary, and Ralph Pascal staying as treasurer. Would anybody like to make a power player move? And I'm not going to say I'm objecting to that. Well, congratulations all. We say again.
Jeff had that twinkle in his eye.
Just a picnic.
No.
You'd be shocked how open I'd be to a coup these days.
Hotly contested primary here.
Yeah. Okay. Finally, we get down to the difference of the different committees, the appointments to the governance committee. Do we have a list of the old?
Normally it would be on the website.
Is it on the website?
No, computer.
It's not.
No, there was nothing available. There was no
Nope.
document.
Well,
Which,
I see the last governance meeting I seem to remember was Stanley, Ralph, and Ed maybe, or
That's
something.
correct.
yes.
So,
Stanley would probably still accept an appointment.
so.
Not here.
Well, we're going to start from the beginning then.
Ralph and Ed were on it.
Oh, there you go.
previously.
And the secretary, I got
Look
this
at
stuff.
this.
Nice job.
Here you go.
Going pretty face down?
And he's not on the clock. Appointment to the governance committee. At this point, we have myself, Dan DeChero, Ed Dudwire, and Ralph Pascal.
Does that work?
We go with that? We don't have an intense schedule.
No.
Okay,
We will.
so we'll keep
I
that.
thought Danny was on that too.
I said
He
that.
said Danny.
Oh, you just said Danny?
Yes.
Ralph, Ed, Dan, Rod.
Oh, all right, you got Danny there.
Where's the neck on?
The audit committee is Laura Tarlow, myself, and Ed Dudwire. Real good. Finance committee is Ralph Pascal and myself. And all joking around, this is probably, we can probably throw Joe on this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. The one pen that doesn't write.
That's extra.
Thanks. Throw it in my itemized
Joe
bill.
on co-development.
We are.
Huh?
I was thinking of throwing Joe on co-development. We're talking about,
Yeah, that's a good spot.
I think it's a very good spot, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget for us to tell him that.
Give me, man.
Yep.
No, that's good. Did we get through them all? The co-development, so we're gonna add Joe there. And then it was myself and Ed, I believe. Is that correct?
It used to be
Joe-
the vice chair and the chair.
Oh, and it was Bod who left.
Yep, and you're adding
Ed,
Ed.
Yeah.
or you
So
want
you're
Laura?
having three. Laura's already on it as vice chair.
Oh, on it.
Oh,
by
I
default.
automatically. Got it.
No, we want to add, we're gonna put Joe on that one.
Oh,
I think
thought
you're
you were
talking about
gonna
two
add
different
them to you
committees.
two. You can
I
swap
think you're on
them
two
out
different
for Laura.
pages.
Co-development,
Yeah.
Co-development.
Joe, Rod, Ed, Laura. Is that correct?
No, that's too many, probably.
Yeah.
You don't
Just
need
two.
Ed.
Just
Well,
two.
yeah, originally the co-development was the chair and the vice chair.
Correct.
But you could put anybody you want on it. It's fine.
Joe and Rod, or Joe and Laura? You can
Laura
sit
could
this one
probably use
out.
the break.
Okay.
It's up to you. You want to be
Yeah.
on it, or?
Whatever you guys need.
I'm
Be
good with-
careful with that statement.
Well, you know, like being told I'm the vice president.
There you go.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Or did they even meet?
You got a
last time?
post out of it.
Did-
That's right, a good one.
Were there any
where-
meetings?
wherever-
I told you
I think I'm on
we-
the project review committee too, so if you'd rather see me on, or if I do both, that's fine.
Did the co-development meet last year?
I think we probably had one meeting,
One meeting.
but again, it's
It's
gonna
gonna-
get picked
Yeah.
up dramatically.
Has to be two, you said?
We definitely have to, yes,
Yeah, originally it was just something that the two boards came together.
correct, and it was
And
the
we
chair and the
just-
vice chair.
We just said that for the leadership to do it, but you can do whatever you want. It's fine.
Laura and Joe.
I just didn't want to overcommit on
You're gonna-
committees
you're gonna
because of
No,
my,
we gotta keep the,
not the high school, my
we
other
wanna keep that
school schedule now.
position with the chair.
Yeah,
Barb prefers it that way.
okay. You and Laura,
Me and Laura,
Okay.
and we'll add Joe to the project review committee.
perfect.
And that's not to say Joe can't go.
Of course.
Correct.
Yeah.
So to the project review committee.
Yeah, but obviously that's definitely gonna pick up this year, God willing.
Sounds
Joe.
like Joe's on project review
Yeah, he's about to rattle
and
it
Rod
off.
maybe? Is that right?
I got Joe
Oh, is that the group that was looking at Mosaic in Delaware and going over what
So
they're,
project review is Joe, Rod, Laura, and Jeff.
what do they actually do? Is that the one that is looking at performance of projects? Like, was that the Mosaic Village group?
Yes. And then I would also think looking at any projects coming forth.
New application.
New applications.
You guys want a recap of that? You got it? Well, it'll be in the minutes.
Yeah.
And it'll be on the website.
And we do gotta get on the website.
Oh, it will be. Now that well, thanks, Ed, for
Do
bringing
we
that.
have
forward.
bios and photos of all our board members?
Not photos yet, but
I thought we did.
we took some, but they're not doable. We need them.
What happened to the ones we?
Yeah, Jared.
Oh, no, we do have some.
Yeah, you're so good.
No, we do.
Yeah, you're talking about the set before that.
Yeah.
Might not have Joe.
Joe might be the only one missing. Was everybody else here that night?
Yeah, we gotta get Joe done.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
have to get
everybody else
Joe's
is done.
name.
Just yours.
Yeah. Okay, with this review of all the appointments, I am calling Thank you, Mr. Moore. We'll put Mr. Dugwire as the second. All those in favor of these appointments for the year 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's just chop down to the financial update for 2023. I had Mike do this real quick, just so we're starting the year off on an understanding of where we're at. I think everybody had gotten to see it. Does anyone have any questions?
Just add to that, I did ask Mike for a most recent, and he sent me December's. So I want to see what.
The one thing, have you seen the checking account since the adjustment with the interest? I'm just curious what we're bringing in now.
The interest has been great, it was like $400 or something. Yeah, the interest
I
was,
think it'd be even more than that on that dollar amount.
it was like 1 month or something.
Yeah. No, I think that was only half a month. I
Half a
think,
month. Yeah.
I think we'll want to see the full December.
Is interest on there?
Rod, I
Yeah, it
guess
is.
my only question was maybe, and I'm just not familiar, is it normal, is it the average
Yeah.
to operate on a negative net income?
No,
No.
it's because we've had no income
Okay, from
No.
pilots,
from pilots, from applications,
okay,
from management fees, whatever. No, it's definitely a concern.
okay.
Yep.
Rob, the insurance, is that like for power cleaning, the buildings down there, they're paying all that money, like $5,000?
Again, they're vacant buildings and they're high risk.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we're lucky that they have a policy.
Who do we get our insurance policies through?
Travelers, is it? I have it actually right here. Travelers.
Sometimes they can throw out another shop if they, I don't know if Travelers just goes through Travelers or.
No, we did this last year because of the buildings that were vacant and the issues going on with
Yeah.
Golden Cross. We're not changing.
Okay,
You're probably
we think
lucky you
that's a
got
good
insurance.
premium?
No, but I think that they were the only ones willing to take it.
Oh,
What
okay.
is the premium? I just
They
did
don't
that
like
on
vacant buildings.
Cyber, it's a-
Your expenses were
Did you get a
5,000?
quote on cyber? or no?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Let's get them down.
Well,
This
hopefully-
says 5,200.
Insurance?
For general liability.
Hopefully those buildings will be gone
That's
soon.
why.
Yeah,
Looking at profit and
5,000?
loss statement?
yeah, so,
For,
That's just for, so.
63.34.
63.34.90.
okay.
so Kate just went through it with one of our other agencies and said that sounds like a reason, that's about in the ballpark what it should be.
Okay.
Oh, I really hope we're not gonna have those buildings.
For
there.
much
Me
longer,
too.
I know.
Yes, please.
Oh, that's it. I mean,
You gotta get an RFP out.
we got it, yeah.
I assume we'll touch that base on that later.
Huh?
Let's meet this week about that.
Okay. I mean, do we want to, I think, as a whole, we want to move forward with the RFP right now, correct?
Definitely.
ASAP.
Yeah, let's get the power thing going, get this down, let's go.
I'd like to do, we still haven't got any assessments for the appraisers.
He was on
That's our issue.
Ontario Street.
Waiting on for that.
The Ontario Street one is in play,
Good.
and there's an email in your inbox about Saratoga Street.
Okay.
But
Haven't seen it.
Uh,
In my personal email?
No, when you're, well, the email I sent you.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, there's a, because they were, when I met them that day on Ontario Street, we reviewed what they were doing for the rest of the day. He was heading to Saratoga after
Right.
that. He had the wrong parcel.
Okay.
So the parcel he should have been doing is substantially larger than what he quoted Joe for.
Okay.
So I need
Oh,
approval
yes, yes.
for that, for them to move. But Ontario Street is still working.
Okay. What about the fire sites?
We received that, did we not? That one was,
I've never
I'll
seen
touch
it.
base with him.
yeah, the appraisals, I thought Joe Stephen Graves said were covering all three.
Agreed.
buildings.
Yeah, but the fire sites should have been done.
That should have
That
been the
was
first one
released.
done.
Yeah,
I think
well,
I have that.
Yeah, I think it's never made its way. I mean,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna have to be careful with this changeover right now, is these things.
Do you have the appraisals on?
I think I have, the fire sites.
Okay. What about the RFP? I thought we gave that the green light last month.
But we needed the appraisals.
Yeah.
Why? For the
fire
RFP?
site RFP.
So,
Let me see.
well, yeah, we need to know what we're sending out first off.
I'm not clear on that. I mean, I know we can't sell it till we have appraisals, but
Right,
the
yeah, I mean,
RFP on the fire sites.
I guess you're probably right.
I thought that Kate said the RFP on the fire sites just need to be tweaked because the last time we were talking about a split, so. Looks like she's looking.
I have the appraisal, I'll send you.
Oh,
So,
Well, sorry, Kate, why don't I do this? I'll review the files that Joe sent me.
we'll set up a meeting for next week.
We'll set up a meeting and I'll produce a completed RFP for everyone, Kate's review, everyone's review, with the tweak.
I mean, we could operate, I mean, as we said in the last meeting, our two concerns were that we now have possession of all lots. And maybe a piece in there about thinking more out of the box than just residential/retail. But I think that's all we really need to send it back out. But we will do different routes this time, as I mentioned, we'll send it down to the county. They have a much larger list for it to go out to, and anywhere else we can think of. So.
the fire sites on their own without development is 100,000 appraisal, about $100,000.
total.
So that's dead on what we were thinking. Then you got to add the 46,000 that we've
That's
already
your
prepaid.
minimum.
Right.
Right, that also probably is a number we need to feed to Kaufman when he's doing all of that. What we're carrying the properties at, wasn't he looking for that number?
Oh, you mean Ken?
Ken Kaufman, when he's doing property held for sale and all that.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking for real numbers,
Yes.
so we probably want to feed that to Mike, to Ken.
Well, yeah, that'd be great to get on the books. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
right.
he did just finish his audit, so we'll follow up with that in the audit.
So you have the
Well,
appraisals
can he
for
adjust it?
fire sites,
He
not for
presents it to us?
Ontario
He
Street.
can- Yeah, because that would make the balance sheet look a lot better.
Yeah.
But I don't, I mean, it's nice to have that, but I think the RFP is sort of separate. We're not gonna give them the number.
No, I think I overthought. I agree with you.
And so, Kate, you were going to tweak that, because we already have an RFP that,
For
Yeah.
the fire sites?
Yes.
fire sites.
Yes, Pete was gonna actually do it
Yes.
first, and then I was gonna look at it.
All right. So if
And
you-
then the Ontario, I've gotta have a copy of an RFP, the original, maybe? Let me see if I have that.
Okay.
At least it'll give us somewhere to start.
The same thing, I'd like to see the RFP be a lot less residential, and a lot more, some of the ideas that we were kicking around that one day were fabulous. Everybody seems, well, they don't want development on the island, or condos, well, if people are paying into it, they're a lot more receptive to that. Small house ideas, little things like that, things that it appears that people are more interested in, especially on the island, if there's a buy-in of the person than just more apartment buildings. So, right, does everyone kind of agree with that? Or you-
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I'm looking at you, Danny.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I don't think anybody's against the development of apartment buildings. I just think the type that we got with 70 and 90 Delaware Ave is what they're not in favor of.
Yes, agreed. That's a fair statement.
Me, develop from one end to the other.
Really?
Absolutely. I've never been against developing it,
Yeah,
but man, 70 and 90, what we got,
I don't
that
disagree.
was bad. That was bad for a 30-year product.
Yes,
Waterfront property,
I agree. But again, unfortunately,
huh?
The whole package.
The whole
The whole
package.
package, bad. But, again, from one end to the other, I want to develop it all.
Yeah.
It's just, it's got to be the right type.
agreed.
I agree.
I would definitely like to see more condos down there. I would definitely like to see more
Absolutely.
buy-in. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, the ones at the other end, Admirals do so
Beautiful.
well.
Beautiful.
You see them every week in the TU, switching over, getting those
When
mortgage
you look at what
taxes.
Starbuck Island did, and then you
Exactly.
look at that, and
That's
like, we
gorgeous.
could have done something like.
But are
that.
are those condos or are those apartments?
Apartments.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Apartments and mixed use, I mean, you have like great coffee shops and
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
restaurants.
it's
and-
I love it. Just drove around there the other day, as a matter of fact.
Anybody else read the email from Kate? Was it Rensselaer County funded an economic development study looking at
Oh,
parcels and
Yeah.
opportunity for
Bethlehem.
development? But
I
Bethlehem,
think, did I send Bethlehem?
Yeah.
We just did a industrial site inventory and assessment RFP. And we're getting ready to award that in 2 weeks. So basically, we hired engineering staff, site staff to look at the city and see, or the town in this case, what sites are available. They do the topography, soup to nuts, and make a determination. Is it developable? All that kind of stuff. What's the zoning? And then really tee it up to attract specific industries to that parcel. So it was really an interesting process because the people who responded, the different companies that responded, some of them are site selectors. They help attract based upon what the study, produces. So that's something you can use IDA funds on. I don't know that we have so many industrial sites. You might choose a different topic, but.
How long
In
does a study
terms
like
of,
that take?
The proposals went from 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So I know, it seems that some of the prior studies years ago looked at different areas and talked about different kinds of development. Is there anything current for the city talking about what we have to offer?
I mean, I'm not sure which studies you mean. Are you talking about like the waterfront development study and things like that?
There was the BOA, there was
Yeah.
the 470, there was the
I mean, not in the last,
comprehensive plan.
not in the, so we have a comprehensive plan from 2017. My criticism of our comprehensive plan from 2017 was that it seems to me that it was written so that you could check a box on anything, right? Like a lot of grants are put out there with in order to qualify for this grant, it has to meet with your comprehensive plan. And so the comprehensive plan seems to me that it was written so that at any opportunity, we would be able to say, yep, this sure is in our comprehensive plan, right? And it was more written for that purpose than for the purpose of really taking a good look at what we want to do as a city. With that said, the normal lifespan of one of these comprehensive plans is about 10 years. It should be either updating it every 5 or redoing it every 10. We obviously didn't update it at the 5-year mark because we were in the throes of COVID at that point. But it's kind of on my radar that a comprehensive plan rewrite is probably in order at some point here.
Well, what was going through my brain trying to figure out, and it sounds like the Holy Grail, I don't think it exists. I know that for 20, 30 years now, the smart growth and all of those plans talked about bringing more people downtown so you had paying customers and that would support business. So that's the general concept everybody's been talking about. But it made me think of, it may have been Bethlehem, but somebody did a study about 20 years ago looking at what the assessed value of a house had to be in order to pay the taxes to cover the cost of the house. And it was like $750,000 was the break even for municipal taxes versus services. So I was wondering if it ever exists, looking at something like Remsen Street, and we've always talked about more housing is going to bring more people. What's the real data? How many people at what income level do you need that are going to have disposable income in order to support the businesses? Because it looks to me like the businesses come and they go because there isn't foot traffic, there isn't enough money in downtown right now to support the business. And it just crossed my mind, has anybody ever really tried to calculate? So instead of just saying, oh, more housing, we have numbers and say, okay, what we need is X housing, have to be appraised at, again, the big push these days is affordable housing. Well, that's nice for housing. That's not good for economic development. So in terms of economic development, has anybody ever looked at that and tried to come up with numbers, what we really need, or is what we do just a waste of
So I
time?
wrote my master's thesis paper on this exact topic, and I used Cohoes as our case study, actually. I'd be happy to share it with you. That's the short answer. It's a much more complicated answer than you might like sitting here, but I'll be happy to share it with you if you'd like.
Well, that's the thing with the studies and market studies and why I circulated that so you could see it. It would serve to not only a purpose for the city, but to inform your plan of what you want your pilot, when you would give a pilot, what types of projects that would be on. My guess is it's not housing, right? So if you had an industrial site or some sort of, you can't do retail, but another site that you wanted to see developed that fit within the ability to apply the IDA for benefits,
Yeah.
it would help inform your UTEP, like, we're only gonna do this type, we're not gonna do housing, or whatever. the case-
That was the exercise we actually went through last year.
Right, so if you had more data about, even if it's just shovel-ready, potentially getting sites shovel-ready within the city, I think that would go a long way, even if it's just one or two, to, you know, pair your benefits with that for what you want to attract there. But that's what a lot of these studies are used for, is that to inform not only the city, but also the IDA and the types of projects that you want to fund.
Yeah, I mean,
and what you
like-
don't.
Well,
How many mini marks and this, that, and the other things do we need to really have an impact?
Right.
Is that?
But
sort of-
again, I think we're getting outside of our lane here. You know, I think that's more than the IDA handles, that's Steve's department.
Unless it exists, or she's gonna do
Yeah,
it.
well, that's,
I'm happy to share.
we have to stay in our lane here.
Thank you.
We all go with that? On the financials, I don't think we have to make a motion or anything,
Motion to approve?
I just want to make sure that no, we don't need one, but
Oh, we don't need-
No. But I just want to make sure, you know, again, we're hoping this year, with the anticipation of 2 RFPs and the DRI funds, that we should be getting back into business and hopefully generating some revenues for ourselves. With that said, we're gonna pick up now on 45 Johnston Avenue. As you all know, that this is a pilot that was closed on the last week of December. The applicant, Mr. Stein, has asked to come forth to discuss, well, I guess his displeasure with the IDA. And as you know, I'm big on transparency, so I would like to give Mr. Stein the floor to discuss with us.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yep, perfect.
Very well.
So I appreciate it, Rod, and thank you for allowing Pete and I to talk.
Thank you. My name is Rod, by the way.
I said Rod.
Rod, yes.
Yeah. Well, I said Rod. Okay. Yeah, this has been a frustrating process for us all. Really, you know, it's not our first project, and this whole process really hasn't gone well, and the closing was even worse. And not happy with, and not really want to understand. We had something approved, took us a year to get to the closing. We had something approved by the board, and at the closing it changed. And why would it change? And then we were forced to accept the closing changes or not close by the end of the year and not get our loan. So I don't know why a development authority would force us to do that and change something that was approved. That's what I'd like to know.
And what do you believe was changed?
Oh, I mean, it's definitely changes. The way the tax calculations are being done and the chart itself. Initially, there were 2 changes to the chart. One was to the percentages that were agreed upon, and one was to the timing. After much fighting, angst, and much lawyer time and expenses, we were able to get the rates back to where the chart was, but not the timing. And I don't know why I had to take a week to close for something so simple that was supposed to be approved and is in writing and is in the closing. I don't understand.
First off, you held the final document papers for over 8. You also disappeared on us for better part of over a year.
No, that's not true.
You came back to us around November 5th and decided that you were now ready to close.
We waited 4 months for Joe Scott to get back to us around his rates. 4 months. I have proof. He didn't return calls or emails.
I'm not gonna do this.
That's true. It's just true.
So-
It's not a fact. It's a fact.
So
So I didn't disappear, and we were handling asbestos for the last year. So we haven't disappeared at all. We've been working on the project.
But you just applied for your asbestos permit on November 23rd, I believe.
No, that was the building permit. Asbestos was already completed.
Oh, I
at
have a
that
whole
time.
list of your permits. They were all within 2 months.
That's not true at all.
Well, that's what that's what the building department gave me.
There was 2 parts to the asbestos. One was done at the end of last year. That was the
Correct.
outside part. And the inside part took a while because of other issues, but we did apply and have permits for all of it accordingly.
Okay.
We've been following all the rules. We are the ones that are the victims here, nothing else. All we've been trying to do is build this and follow the rules, and all we get is delayed. And then this delay was not our fault at all.
So
On the
what
delay,
is the outcome?
I mean, I didn't even bring up the delay as costing us money. I didn't even bring that up. You could talk to the bank. We couldn't get Joe Scott. You could talk to the bank.
Mr.
What's the issue?
Stein, Mr. Stein, with all due respect, when you first came to this board, and we had issues that we had to go, chairman, absolutely agree with. It was the first project that I had to deal with as chairman, and we didn't have all our ducks in a row. And I literally felt terrible for a couple months because that is. But then, sir, over a year.
That's not true. That's just not true.
Mr. Stein, I'm not going to do this with you.
It's not true. We worked on the project. We did work. How could you say it's not true? We did the work. I don't understand what you're saying. We spent money. You can't get the building permit until you finish the asbestos. It took a year. There was so much asbestos there.
So what is it that you asked this board to do?
To stick to your word, at least? I'm not even arguing about your delay. You brought the delay up. The delay was Joe Scott, period. Full stop, period. And that costs us more money too.
Okay.
What I'm asking you to do is stick to what you approved at the last meeting, when you approved the thing. It's in writing. You can't even stick to that. That's terrible, disgusting.
Excuse me, I just don't, I'm not familiar with what changes were made, and I wonder if you can provide that, because I'm just.
I emailed it. Joe Scott has them. He's the one who forced it down our throats at the closing. Either close or you don't close. Joe Scott, why
What were
don't
the
you say it?
changes? What
changed?
exactly were the changes?
The way the calculation of taxes have been done and the timing of the payments.
No, that has not changed, sir. That is uniform language in that, and you know that.
No, it's not.
You are. You have signed the exact pilot paperwork with other pilots in other cities. I've had
It's
it
the
pulled.
chart, it's the chart. The
You are
addendum, the
going
chart
about
that's in the application is
information
not
from
the
a
new.
city planner that
The
had
chart
no
that's in the
authority to
application is
do
not
that
the chart
amount. You
that I had
know
to
the
sign.
numbers that you are concerned about had to come from the assessor's office, and you're using this, sir, to renegotiate a pilot. So at this point, I ask you, straightforward, Mr. Stein.
So hold on the record.
Evaluate your pilot.
So
'Cause
all
we
I-
are more-
Here's all I want then. Fine. On the record, the application that was approved is what you guys are going to stand by, correct? That's all I'm asking.
Chair,
Then I'll go back and work with Joe Scott and get that amendment done. No problem. Thank you very much. Is that okay? You're going to stick by what you agreed to?
Joe wants to say something.
Yes or no in the application?
Well,
Excuse me, sir.
We don't have the, I don't have the.
I'm not going to be spoken to that way.
It's not that way. I'm just asking if you would approve if you
Sir,
would
you're
stand by the
being rude. This is
application.
a volunteer board giving you a tax break from the taxpayers of the city of Cohoes. I think you could be a lot more respectful than you are right now. You better pipe down and calm down.
I think that's disrespectful. I didn't use any harsh words, and I just asked if you would stand by what you approved, period.
I think we have Mr. Scott on the
Yes.
line.
Who's trying to speak, I think.
right, I think what's, putting the, if I may, Chair,
Please.
sorry, I'm getting some feedback here. I think putting the best spin on this is that there's a misunderstanding between Mr. Stein and our office and the IDA with respect to the impact of his chart. He prepared the chart which shows the potential pilot benefits at our request in connection with our consideration of the IDA project. He shows the first 2 years as what the existing taxes are on the facility, and he took that to mean that we would fix the assessment and fix the payments during the construction period. That's not the way we structure our pilot agreements. I had extensive discussions with his counsel during the negotiations on this matter. And Mr. Stein is also very familiar with how we have structured pilot agreements in other jurisdictions, including the city of Albany, which he's done other projects in, recognizing that during the construction period, the amount of taxes or the amount of pilot payments being paid during that period of time are whatever the assessed value is based on the tax rates. That the abatement schedule then kicks in upon completion. And what Mr. Stein is trying to achieve, and I understand where he's coming from, recognizing that he's trying to pay the least amount during the term of the pilot, is that he'll get 2 years at the existing tax payment amounts, and then the abatement will then kick in year 3. But that's not the way we structure our pilot agreements. His counsel is very well aware of that structure. And, and it's unfortunate, but I think what Mr. Stein is also failing to remember is that this project took extensive amount of time, both on his part and, to be fair, on the part of the IDA in connection with reviewing a housing policy and enacting a housing policy. And the board should remember, and maybe Mr. Stein doesn't remember, is that the actual housing policy, tax exemption policy that the IDA approved was essentially a 485B abatement schedule, which is nowhere near as aggressive and as positive for the applicant. So what we did, the IDA, when we finally, after going through our due diligence and the board's review of housing policies and housing projects and the impacts on the tax on local taxes and how much the board wants, to what extent the board wanted to abate real property taxes with respect to housing projects, that the actual abatement schedule that the IDA approved for Mr. Stein and his project was well in excess of what the IDA's current policy is. So there was an accommodation by the IDA with respect to this project, and with respect to the first 2 years, it's very common that that's how we handle this. And I believe, again, putting the best possible spin on this, speaking politely, speaking professionally, that there was a misunderstanding with respect to the actual impact of the numbers that Mr. Stein prepared for the benefit of the IDA, so that the IDA could quantify what the pilot benefits were. And with that, I'll open it up for any comments or questions. And actually, one last point, it's very clear in the project synopsis that the IDA considered, in connection with its review of the approval resolution, that during years 1 and 2, normal taxes, 100%, would be paid with respect to the project. There's no doubt, no misunderstanding there. And while we're certainly again putting the best spin on things and being trying to be professional and polite, we certainly recognize that there was some delay in connection with this matter, but the delay was not 100% on the IDA, was not certainly 100% on my firm, and I take exception to some of Mr. Stein's comments. But again, trying to put the best spin on the situation, and I applaud the IDA for being willing to address Mr. Stein's comments in open session. But that's the background, and I'll open it up for any comments or questions thereafter. Thank you. Mr. Stein, you're muted.
Yeah, the current IDA then chart is now 9 years, not 10, because you took a year off, correct? So for me, I just don't understand. I hear what you're saying about the 2 years isn't typical, but it's the chart that we based all our financials on. I'm not trying to get an extra year. It was the chart that was in the approved application at that meeting. And that's where the issue comes. It's not a misunderstanding. I read the chart. I didn't think the chart was going to change. I thought it was the 10-year with 2 years at current rate. That's what the chart says, as you said, Mr. Scott. And when you get there to the closing only, does the chart change? We included the same chart, and now it's changed, and you took a year off. I understand what you're saying, and I did get Actually, for construction periods in Albany, if you want to compare, I did get construction periods covered, as you know, as I just got on my last project, an extra 6 months. So it's not trying to get more. I'm just trying to get the 10 years at the rates that we agreed to. That's all we were asking. We're not asking for you to change it. We're asking you to adhere to it. That's the difference. And the same thing with the tax calc. All we're saying is to adhere to what was agreed to, because that's what we based everything on. And we've been spending on this project. I know, Rod, you said we haven't. We've been working on this project, spending money for over a year. And you please go back to the building department and the New York State Department of Labor, and you can check all the different applications. I can forward them all to you. We've been working on this project since really, I think it's the December of last year, not the year before, so 23. And we've been spending money on the project the entire time.
Okay.
And I'll email them to the boards for the records.
We'll appreciate those. One moment, we have a word from our counsel here.
No, one of the things that I was on 2 points, there is language in the documents that I'm sure you reviewed and had counsel review that basically say that it's all subject to the assessed value on completion of the project, and that's with the assessors. That's pretty standard for most of the IDAs that I work with, if not all of them. The second piece of all of that is the valuation of each unit that you submitted in your application, I think was up a little bit over the 50,000 per unit. And that's where the cost to develop the project per unit, that's what the valuation is ultimately, based on. And that's where Mr. Jakes came up with that number. So, it's never the assessment until the project's finished and the assessor has their say. And that's just standard.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I gotta jump in. I opened up the pilot agreement. It's a 10-year term. There's a 10-year abatement, just what you asked for, Mr. Stein.
What's in
And
year
that's just
10?
It's 10 years in there. It's not 12, which is what you're suggesting it should have been based on your draft numbers. It's a 10-year
I don't think I ever
abatement,
put
and
it.
there's 10 years of abatement in the pilot agreement. Take a look at it.
What's in year 10?
90%.
I'll reopen that up and submit that as well to the board, because that's not exactly how it worked. And we just want to stick to the chart that's in there, and I'll compare the 2 charts and I'll send them as well in a separate email so you can see the difference in the charts. And to address the council's last point, the board council, that those numbers were given to us by Joe Graves and the tax assessor themselves. That's why we used them.
I don't believe it was given by the tax assessor and Joe Graves.
We sent him the email that has him on it.
But even the case, Ron, ultimately, and it's in the language in your documents, the assessor has the last word. At the time.
But tripling the taxes on the day a week before the closing, again, we're already pregnant. We have to do the project. And tripling it doesn't seem like the right thing to do when you also change the chart. That's all we have to say. I will go ahead and email everybody the information so you guys could assess it, because you don't have it in front of you. And then if you feel so as inclined to bring it up at the next meeting to change it back to what it was, that would be appreciated. If not, then we'll figure out what action at that point. But before then, at least I'd like to give everybody on the board the chance to see the changes from what was agreed to where we are.
Very good.
On both issues, because that's the only way to judge that it's changed. And I'll also send, which is unbelievable that but I will prove that we've been working on the project for the entire year plus. Okay?
Very good. We appreciate your time today, Mr. Stein.
Appreciate more time. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item. Pete, I think you wanted to touch a little bit
Joe
on
Scott's still there. Is there something Joe wanted to?
Oh,
He is, but Joe, are you through? You want to touch on anything?
No, there's nothing more that I need to say. If there's anything that the board has questions, you can call me privately. We can talk, we can continue to talk. But that's it. I have nothing more. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks,
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Moving on, again, we're going to pick up the next item on the,
Yeah, just to wrap it up, honestly, it's really a bit of housekeeping. I mentioned to Laura, we had the bells board, we did away with that. We want a uniform, we wanted uniform email addresses for the entire board so that we're not using our personal path to do any of this business. Essentially, the best route would probably be that Google Workspace, which is no longer a free app or utilization anymore. So the best we can do there is probably about, even with our website, tying it in with Squarespace.
I was going to ask about Squarespace.
So
because we already
Squarespace-
have a subscription.
Well, we pay for the website,
Yep.
but we pay for that. There are bundles, there
Yep.
are specific bundles, and that bundle does not include that. So I
Okay.
went back to our Brittany, the person who created our website. We could certainly add it through there. There's no benefit to it. But the reality is the cost is only $25 a month for the service that we would use, probably even 22 actually. And
That's
all that
probably
is,
cheaper than going through Squarespace.
it is,
Okay.
yeah.
And that would allow us a Google Drive?
That would allow us 2 terabytes. We can probably do like 37 for 5 terabytes. But based on what I'm learning through this first year, what I've learned, you know, we probably do need the uniform emails. I think it's probably best that we don't use our personal emails. And the storage of the documentation is probably the real stuff, this paper. That's something we need to take on. We don't have room here at City Hall.
I have an idea on that. Because the
And-
CLDC reached out to me too.
Okay, all right.
But
So
Pete, if we subscribe to a Google Workspace and we get the email addresses, we also get a Google Drive space. I don't know the legalities, but wouldn't it make sense to try to move everything electronic to the drive, or do we need to have paper?
we have to have the paper.
You have to have paper,
Yeah.
and that's like a legal compliance piece,
Yeah.
or?
7 years?
You can't, you can't destroy something that you already have.
No, I'm talking about like moving forward, so if we were all at this meeting tonight, we'd have, you know, our phone, our tablet, our computer, something with everything electronically scanned and housed
Right,
in the
well,
drive, would
that's
that be
What Bellis
acceptable?
Board was designed to do with more security than Google actually has.
Yeah,
But nobody seemed to want to use
use
it.
it.
All
it
in
was a
all,
lot more
it's the
expensive too,
cheapest.
wasn't it?
Huh?
Wasn't it a lot more expensive?
Well, you currently had it. It was about $150 a month.
Yeah.
And I think
Right,
it's just a matter of actually, like, we had a training, we did an onboarding, and it was fairly simple, but you could still use your email, because what happens is, how it should work, is when the agenda is posted on Bellis Board, it says invite. You would all get an email to your email, and all that says is, the agenda is in Bellis Board. That's all it says.
and then you log into that, and
Nothing crazy, right? You're not, email isn't going, so it cuts down on the email. And if you can't find the email with the agenda, you just go right back in and it's right there. There's a calendar in there, but
We
Google,
failed on that task.
well, you know, I know, but ultimately, and you can respond instead of Pete saying, do we have a quorum?
Right.
I would put a task out. Please, will you be at the meeting? Bam. And then it's all tallied up and that.
We know.
Okay, sorry, well then,
Are we your most challenging board?
no,
Hey,
you are the most.
If you're gonna do anything, people,
No.
do it, be number one at it.
No, yeah, no, it's whatever you want. You have to use whatever it is though. That's all, that's the
I agree.
caveat.
that's key. We have to use what it is. So with that said, if we want to start somewhere,
Yeah.
we did try Bellis Board, which didn't pan out. If we want and agree to use the uniform emails, which again, come foil time,
And you cannot forward those to your regular.
right? Come foil time, you know, Joe, we don't want to know about your kids at college, but they're going to,
Right.
or whatever else
Yeah.
you might be into.
Always a concern.
We certainly don't want to know about
I
the
got some
Buffalo
skeletons.
Bills. So,
Something's better than nothing?
That's, at the $22
That's our
a
motto,
month, right? Or it's $35 for 5 terabytes. But again, do we really need the digital storage if we're using the paper still?
Yeah, because most of it has to go on the website anyway, and you gotta have it in electronic format to upload.
That, well, I'm able to do that myself as I am right now. I upload it and then it lives there.
I
So-
wouldn't suggest you scan anything. I mean, this goes way back. When we came in, we scanned pretty much everything we possibly could, and it's living somewhere. The paper is just sort of I think Debbie was comfortable with paper too, and so she would have certain paper files. But, you know, I think depending upon what it is, on some, like, you still need original deeds. You need the paper. But I would scan that and I would upload it to, you know, the
To our
central.
digital storage.
Yeah,
But the website can store all of our documents.
The website does currently. Whatever I upload lives there.
right, but I would suggest that not be the only place.
Okay,
Because I don't know the security on the webpage, and I've had other agencies be hacked and their data's gone because it was nowhere else.
okay, so you're
So we
saying we
would
need
get
to
into
have
cloud
that
storage
backup.
or
Yeah,
some backup.
okay.
What I'm hearing is that all the past paperwork needs to remain obviously as paperwork.
Correct.
But are you saying moving forward, we could move to more digital type of?
Yeah,
meeting?
for the most part, but some things should be kept in original, contracts,
Right.
signed resolutions, deeds, anything that has a wet signature on it probably has to be both.
Right.
But all these things tonight would be
But if I
good
give you
things to be
those,
uploaded
digital,
into Google
should we
Drive.
guys
This
be
is stuff I
keeping
do
those?
keep digital.
Is
Well,
there an
right
additional
now,
cost for the emails
I
or does
wanna take a
that
copy
20?
of
No,
it,
it's,
so I have a
it'll be
backup.
based on the
Oh,
5
you guys,
terabytes, it'll be
you know,
$35 a month.
And you get the
maybe
drive
it's
and
I
unlimited,
don't
like
remember.
I get the
10
drive, I get the
But
emails,
yeah,
and
you
I
should be
don't have to pay for
keeping
Teams
the
anymore.
original.
I mean, I was
Well,
doing
the
that
problem
is in my
myself.
office, the rules are, if it's
It'll be
important,
included in it
Rod
for up to
can't touch it.
500 participants at once.
That is literally a company
But
policy.
the way, let's, I'm looking at two different things.
21 years.
Communications, I'm looking at this for communications, but storage of documents is on the website. So Google isn't gonna store.
But then we have to have a
documents on
third
the website.
backup.
There's both, right? So Kate's point is, hey, the website is gonna get hacked eventually, not when, it will get hacked.
Of course.
So all that documentation that we're storing there lives there. We need to now come up with it again
You need a
digitally
backup to the.
or by paper. So that will be the Google workspace.
So you are gonna store
It
it in
has
two
to be in
places.
both places, right?
It's ironic, we need all these projects to keep feeding, to have revenue, because of all the regulations they keep getting on. It's kind of
Unfunded
a,
mandates.
yeah, right? I mean, it's this endless cycle, exactly.
Okay, so the $35 plan,
Well, but the government.
you want to take a a motion for that, or you good with it?
So when are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this?
So,
When and how?
When and how what?
Are we gonna have a Google email?
I'm gonna, well, you guys
so we'll all
approve
have
it here, we're good.
separate.
So you'll have, and we'll come up with a nomenclature. Currently mine is frangie.cohoesida@gmail.com, so maybe we'll just use your last names, .cohoesida.
That'll work. That'll work.
And then that'll be your just Cohoes IDA work email.
Just don't allow any other family members.
Correct, yeah.
We won't get any notifications on our personal email.
Well, if somebody
No.
adds something to the drive, there's ways to notify drive members. There's
Right, you can have
different,
the
there's
emails
different
forward
ways.
to.
And you personally can forward that stuff as well within your device.
No, it's just,
I know.
Another email, yeah.
another.
I feel the
email.
same way.
Needed.
Okay. Hey, Joe Scott, well, are we done with this? I want
Yeah, I
to
think
reach out to Joe and ask him, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe, I need a list. Debbie did last year send all those letters for the parish report. And in all the documentation that we have, I have all my letters completed, but I do not have essentially the owner and the address of where I send those to. Can you help out with that? There's 12 total.
Sure.
Alright.
Do you have a list? If you send them to us, we can access our files and, and give you the name of the party that you need to send it to and also their counsel. Sure.
Super helpful. Tomorrow morning, I'll have it to you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Very good. Anything else at this point we need to discuss? Okay, nope. With that said, we will gather again the first Thursday in February for the exec meeting. Hopefully we'll have some clarity on the RFPs and getting that rocking and rolling and moving out. With that, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Jeff. Have a great night, day.
Try to
Get
stay
home safely, everyone.
Thank you online.
What's that?
Thank you, Jeff.
Have a good evening, everyone.